Welcome to the drive to Hershey, where you get 20 minutes of the latest and greatest drama on the internet, news going on in the world, and occasional random observations about how humans operate their motor vehicles in very inefficient fashion. Pile on in here. We have a little bit of fun brewing on the old interweb. Big Millie B finally wants to get in the ring. Big Millie B finally wants to get in the ring. I'm going to say it 3 times in honor of Pasobik, who apparently he's trying to drag in the ring as well. Big Millie B finally wants to get into the ring. So you might say, why, after a year and a half, is this guy calling me out by name after I donated 11 months of my life, 11 months of an hour a week for his show for nothing, helped him raise money for himself so he could stay out of his mom's house as long as possible, which, by the way, that apparently is no more. I'm sure he's fighting with his sister over the house right now. It's just probably a bad financial time for him. He's struggling to raise money on his little GoFundMes. So why not go to Q? Struggling for cash, can't pay your bills, getting behind? Dial 1-800-SHILL for Q. Nice. Q to the rescue. Well, here's your problem, Millie B. You've got a long paper trail. And dragging me into it would be pretty predictable because Q is already melting down. I mean, obviously, we blew up the whole medic angle, calling out all the hypocrisy. The JB Doug Stewart broadcast last night highlighted the marketing campaign, digital marketing campaign that's been underway for quite some time by people like Justin French, working with Jeff Peterson. That would be your We the Insider 1776 meeting in the Matrix. Those two guys, very shady backgrounds, incredibly shady background for Jeff Peterson. More on Jeff later. They're melting down because they know we're coming. So they go on last night, I guess, with Bill Mitchell. Yeah, it was last night. I only heard a little clip of it, but it's on MAGAcoalition.com if you want to watch it, where he proceeds to melt down and attack us. Well, we know, having seen Discord logs that have been entered into the Twitter record today by Doug Stewart and retweeted by myself and others, that Pamphlet, i.e., or AKA James Coleman Rogers, when he gets angry, he wants people doxxed. So that's how they work. They did the same thing to Isaac Green and others. It's really hard to dox. You can't really dox me because, you know, I'm not hiding behind anything. So Bill Mitchell, after a year and a half of, oh, they're so not worth it. Oh, I just don't give anybody the bandwidth. I don't do Twitter fights, you know, in his half weird way that he does. Decides all of a sudden, within 24 hours of having Jeff Peterson in his ear in the Matrix, that he's going to attack, and that it's not good enough just to attack me. They obviously spoke off camera about Jack Posobiec too. So Jack Posobiec, can keep hitting the hearts every now and then so that I know that this thing hasn't. You guys know I'm not reading your questions because I'm driving, but keep hitting the hearts every now and then so I know that it's not frozen. Thank you. So now Bill, who has never wanted to talk about Posobiec at all because he fears Posobiec's audience, Posobiec has a larger, much more engaged Twitter following than Mitchell. I mean, it's not even close. And a real television show, a real television outlet with One American News. But they convinced him to somehow throw Jack out of nowhere into the conversation. where Bill lies, blatantly lies. This is pretty easy to fact check. Bill lies and says that I introduced Bill Mitchell to Jack Posobiec. So he's washing his hands of any responsibility of having Jack on the show for like a year. Well, that's problematic because Jack is the one who was on the show before me and asked me, as part of our PA recount efforts, to do the show one time. I wasn't expected to return. I didn't care. It was completely a volunteer effort on my part. It reached about 1,000 people. I could have given two hoots. My own Periscope for bringing 30, 40,000 people in on Recount News. So I really didn't care who this Bill Mitchell guy was. So now Bill has decided to go after Poso Nation. Now, Poso, as he is calling himself these days, does not like to get into Twitter fights either. Now, granted, he went after Q, which was a pretty big deal for him, but Jack generally likes to stay in his own lane and just mow down the news and not get involved in all this crap. You know, Jack didn't build up to like 450,000 Twitter followers by like getting into every swinging dick pissing match. So I'm going to give you the truth, and Jack won't dispute it, I'm sure, because it's the truth. Jack and I only really hooked up around the campaign when things started to fall apart in PA, when there was a split between the David Urban and Ted Christian folks, and this GOP went flying over to Toomey after the sex tape. We formed an underground Trump connection where a lot of us defected off the GOP structure and went into the hybrid structure with the Team Trump, which was a lot of the volunteers from the Roger Stone-led efforts and the other grassroots. I can't remember the grassroots name for Trump or whatever. There were a lot of people up here working on that end of it, like Jack was. So Jack and I ended up doing that work together, and like for a month straight, we were on the conference calls, we were driving the message, we were doing what was going to be done. You know, we were working outside the structure of the whatever the rest of the GOP was doing. Now, Jack is younger than me, so when Jack worked for the state GOP, I was already in government, and the only campaigns I did were in my spare time. So I did a lot of Corbett stuff. He worked for a Senate campaign in the primary a couple of years after that. So I probably ran across Jack in the day, but he would have been, you know, lower on the structure, so I probably wouldn't have gotten to know him very well. So we realized that we knew all the same people and blah, blah, blah. The whole thing worked out. We became friends since then, but we never had any business interests. So I'm not really sure where Mitchell's trying to draw in this Jack and Adam we're best friends. Well, even Jack's going to tell you we weren't best friends. I mean, I met his family. I know his wife, Tanya, since they were dating. She's a very sweet girl. You know, I make sure if I'm ever in DC, I would let him know. We would hang out maybe. But I think Jack's going to be the first to tell you that, you know, we live too far apart. We get along, but best friends we are not. And Jack probably laughs about that. So Bill Mitchell was told by Jeff Peterson, a.k.a. in The Matrix, to attack. Say, listen, Bill, if you want this money, if you want to be part of the shill, Bill, of QAnon, we need you as much as you need us. We need you to hold the boomers together, because the boomers are starting to feel ridiculed. They're starting to feel the sting. They see that this isn't right. Nothing's happening. Q's afraid to tweet. Meta clearly outed himself. Then he came on your show and threatened the MAGA coalition and Sebastian Gorka with 10,000 8chan anons, which is absurd on its own face. So then they tell him last night, listen, you got to go after Adam specifically, and then you got to go after Jack Posobiec, because you're tied to both of them. So their problem with Bill Mitchell is, Bill, we want to bring you in the shill. We want you to shill QAnon for us. We're willing to share into the grift with you. The problem is you've got a year's worth of shows, more than a year's worth of shows, with Adam Gingrich and Jack Posobiec, both who hate QAnon. That doesn't exist. So now you've got a problem, Bill. You've got to clean up that mess. So Bill takes to Twitter the next day and starts to try to lump Jack and I together and question whether or not we have business interests. Well, Jack and I have no business interests. Jack is employed by One American News Network. Jack has never been involved with anything that my coalition has done, nor have I ever been involved in anything of his efforts that he's done up until his employment with One American News. Still, we remain friends, and he knows he can count on me if he needs anything, and I know that I can count on him if I need something by way of verification or checking sources. You know, we can still text each other, and it's all cool. We don't like all the same people. Jack likes to hang out with, like, the Will Chamberlains of the world. I, frankly, do not. So that doesn't mean that Jack and I get into pissing matches over this shit. We don't. Jack is going to laugh at this because he doesn't care. He's much bigger than Bill. Much bigger than Bill. The reason Bill wanted Jack off the show was, and he made me tell Jack, Jack was getting too, quote unquote, controversial. Whatever that means. This from a guy who's now shilling QAnon, who talks about public executions of elected officials and Gitmo and military tribunals and martial law. This guy, and I've got log after log of Bill, like, screaming at, like, in writing at Kerry Smith and Brendan Dilley and Hassine, don't talk about this stuff. Don't talk about Seth Rich. Don't talk about Pizzagate. Don't you dare bring that up, or I can't have you on the show anymore. I mean, that was what was going on. So when Jack started to just kind of, like, poke around the edges of Pizzagate, Bill flipped out and said, well, Jack can't be on anymore. And I was like, whatever. I doubt Jack gives a fuck. So I talked to Jack, and Jack was like, oh, good. That's one less thing I have to do. I didn't know how to tell Bill, but I really didn't want to do it anyway. So, and I'll let Jack tell his story if he really wants to tell it, but I doubt he's going to take that much time to really care about this shit. So the reason why Bill is attacking myself by name is a big move for him because he's a coward. I mean, he's a real coward. He's, I guess, blocked me a long time ago. I don't know if I'm still blocked. I don't care. I don't at him, so I don't violate any TOS. Occasionally, people will send me a screenshot, which I'm allowed to use. So if that's how he wants to communicate with me, that's fine. He is a coward. We all know this. But he also is stuck in a really bad spot. He doesn't want to shed even more spotlight because he knows whatever's left of his audience, a good 50% of them remember me. Know that I was really the only person that could give the actual commentary and political analysis. The rest was kind of just citizen journalists opining on the matters of the day. Nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But I think it shocked a lot of people when, you know, things went down the way it did. I never said I was going to destroy Bill Mitchell. He said I wrote somewhere, quote unquote, I guess, or said somewhere that I was going to destroy him. Show me I'm just going to go full Doug Stewart on you, Bill Mitchell. Show me where I said I will destroy you. Show me in writing, or show me where I said it. Show me where I so quote unquote doxed your social security number, and show me where I told people to quote unquote harm you physically, which is just absurd. I would never say anything like that. You show me this evidence, and I'll find a way to fill out your pathetic GoFundMe that has $800 on a way to a $10,000 goal or whatever. For what? For tweeting? I don't understand what you want the money for. But anyway, I'll fill it for you if you can show me evidence of me physically threatening you, or telling others to harm you physically, or me saying or writing I was going to destroy you for having me thrown off the show. First of all, I did that show for nothing. It was horrible. I had to sit for an hour and listen to his bullshit. And then I had to do a half an hour prep time before and after, watching him put makeup on. Like, so much makeup on, he would keep leaving the chair and go doing it. It was just, and listen to the absurd dad jokes that he thought were funny. None of them were funny at all. The point of the matter is, Jeff Peterson, a.k.a. In the Matrix, has told Bill, listen, you got to get in the fight. You got to get in the fight. If you want to be a part of this and you want to show Q, you got to get in the fight. So that's what he did. That's what he did today. He tweeted at me, basically as close as he could possibly get to tweeting at me. And he also tried to throw Jack Posobiec into the mix. So now, tonight, I would like to unveil, if this was going to be a little precursor, which it is, tonight, I'm not quite sure if it'll probably be about 10 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to call it 10 p.m. Eastern. You might want to tune in to the MAGA Coalition YouTube channel, where we are going to give Bill Mitchell what he wants, and that is the truth. We're going to tell you who Bill Mitchell is in his own words, Telegram chats, snapshots, perhaps other photographs, sentiments that he expressed, and show you who he really is as a person. And then at the end of it, you can decide whether or not you believe Bill Mitchell or you believe Adam Gingrich or Jack Posobiec. But the only reason he dragged Posobiec in there is because Posobiec wrote yet another tweet about Q as being obviously dead. Q is dead, dying on the vine. William Barr obviously is the new sheriff in town, and there will be no investigations outside of him. There will be no second special counsel. Huber is not doing anything, never was, and if he was, William Barr said, turn over the file and I'll look into it. That's where we're at right now. There is no continuation of Sessions. There's none. Rosenstein is a little rat in a cage, just waiting to be released after the Mueller report is done. He is there to verify that everything was on the up and up with Mueller. No obstruction being hidden or anything like that. So he's got a pet rat in a cage in Rosenstein. He's got everything. He's got it all. He mocks Congress right to their face. So Q is basically they don't know where to go next because they can't figure out. They're too dumb to see what's going to happen, the outcomes of any of this. So they just don't drop any Q at all. There is no Q. So they're going to have to drop it soon. And guaranteed, Shill the Bill Mitchell will now start bringing up their Q drops on his show. And he'll bring people on like Jeff Peterson, and they'll, quote unquote, decode on Bill's show. This is their plan. Mark my words. Mark my words. This is their plan. So tonight, 10 p.m. tonight, let everybody know. 10 p.m. tonight, MAGA Coalition YouTube channel. Be there. We are going to show you the truth once and for all about all of this and how Bill Mitchell falls into it. All right? Tune in tonight, 10 p.m. YouTube, MAGA Coalition. See you then.